Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Gervonta Tank Davis defeats Hector Garcia by an 8th round corner retirement, which, in my opinion at least, looked a little bit suspect, I have to say. Where do we start with this one? Well, I guess we start with round 1. That would make sense. But yeah, the early rounds 1, 2 and 3, not too much was happening, but Hector Garcia, for my money, was the guy in control. As we know, Tank Davis does have a tendency to start fights quite slow. We saw that against Ryan Garcia, Isaac Cruz, Mario Barrios. This is a theme in his career. And I felt Hector Garcia took advantage of that in the first 3 rounds. Quite frankly, I felt it was clear that he won the first 3 rounds. First round, not much happened, to be honest. But obviously, both guys are southpaws. Both guys in round 1 were kind of pouring with their jab, looking for openings, not giving too much away, that sort of thing. But I felt that Hector Garcia's jab was more consistent, and he just landed more of them, whereas Tank wasn't really landing too much in round 1. Rounds 2 and 3, it was similar, but Hector Garcia was opening up a little bit more with his straight left hand out of that southpaw stance. He was just taking the half step back, popping the jab, throwing the straight left hand. He was just boxing, and to me it was quite clear in rounds 2 and 3 he was outboxing Tank Davis. Tank was able to get through with some jabs, but very few power shots in the first 3 rounds. And yeah, Hector, in my opinion, was just that much busier. He was maintaining range better, and yeah, he was the guy who was winning the boxing match up until that point. Round 4 came along, and round 4 really started to open up. There was actually quite a few exchanges in round 4. Tank Davis, started to up the pace, quicken his feet up, get closer to Hector Garcia, and he let go of some decent 2 or 3 punch combinations, which Hector Garcia would attempt to answer. And he was countering Davis quite effectively in the exchanges in round 4, particularly with his right hook, his check right hook. But for my money, Tank was landing the harder shots in these exchanges, and I would say he was outlanding Garcia. I'm not so sure about that, to be honest, but he was certainly landing the harder shots, the more telling shots, and he was the aggressor in round 4. So for me, Tank Davis won round 4. Round 5 was a quieter round, but Tank Davis was able to find that straight left hand. He was starting to be a bit more active with his jab, whereas Hector Garcia was back on his boxing. Occasionally, Garcia would try to go down to the body, score points that way. So yeah, Garcia was boxing in round 5, and yes, he was matching Tank in terms of output, I would say. But again, for me, the better shots came from Tank Davis, so I gave round 5 to Tank. Round 6 kind of actually followed. It was similar to rounds 2 and 3, where Hector would be boxing, landing the straight left hand through the guard of Tank Davis, and Tank really wasn't doing much in round 6. I felt he was guilty of following Hector around the ring a little too much in straight lines, and Hector was able to take advantage of that again in round 6. So after 6 rounds, I had this fight 4 rounds to 2 for Hector Garcia, and in my prediction, I did say that at the midway point, I really wouldn't be shocked to see Hector Garcia winning this fight, But regardless, after round 6, I felt it started to go downhill for Hector Garcia. He wasn't keeping his shape as well. His defense wasn't quite as tight, because he was displaying a pretty good defense in the first 6 rounds, rolling with shots, keeping range, that sort of thing. But yeah, round 7, I felt that was starting to wane a little bit. And yeah, Tank was able to close the distance much more easily as this fight went on, and he was able to in round 7. He was leading off with some power shots, getting through and catching Garcia. Again, the jab was getting to the target more often, whereas Garcia, he tried to answer some exchanges, but the power differential was plain to see, and also the speed differential. Hector Luis Garcia is quick, but not as quick as Tank. So yeah, round 7, I felt that Tank won it. The aggressor and whatnot. And round 8 was where this fight ended, or should I say, round 8 was the last round of this fight. Again, Tank Davis stalking Garcia, trying to close that distance, trying to find the uppercut at mid range, the chopping southpaw right hook and the overhand left. Hector Luis Garcia was still trying to box, but round 6 onwards, what I will say, round 7 and round 8, Hector's output dropped. His jab wasn't as consistent as it was in the first sort of 5 rounds. And it looked like, I don't know, it kind of looked like he was trying to time Tank coming in with his straight left hand, but he wasn't throwing enough shots. And yeah, Tank was very comfortable in round 8, and towards the end of round 8, he actually catches Hector Luis Garcia, and he catches him with a looping overhand left. And it catches Hector Luis Garcia, by looks of it, on the side of his head, or the side of his face, like near the eye area. And he doesn't go down, he kind of dips to his knees a little bit, but he doesn't go down, and he successfully sees out the rest of the rounds. I have to say, so Tank Davis hurts Hector Luis Garcia towards the end of round 8, and he definitely felt the shot, but he wasn't badly buzzed. Look at his feet. Look at his feet after he got caught with that shot. His feet are completely steady. His legs are not shaky or anything like that. And he successfully sees out the rest of a round while evading shots from Tank Davis. Honestly, he looked fine. And yeah, he gets back to his corner, sits on his stool and says, I can't see. And he quits. Yeah, I mean, to me that's just unacceptable. I'll be honest, I don't believe Hector Luis Garcia. Again, just look at his reactions after he got caught. Look at how he was able to defend himself. Look at his feet. He was fine. As far as I'm concerned, he was fine. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? Was this just a quick job? Or was it a dive? You tell me. But regardless, my opinion is that Hector Luis Garcia was fine. And for whatever reason, he chose not to continue. For whatever reason. Who knows? Maybe he was just scared. Who knows? But yeah. I mean, this was a pay-per-view in America. What a pathetic way to conclude a pay-per-view fight. But NPCs are going to NPC. They're not really going to ask any questions or be critical of Hector Luis Garcia. After all, what does that certain YouTuber say? These guys are modern day warriors, modern day gladiators. Well, I didn't see a gladiator or a warrior in Hector Luis Garcia. I saw a guy who took a dive. That's what I saw. But who knows? I may be wrong, or maybe this boxing scene on YouTube is like the movie They Live. I have the glasses on. In the movie, if you have the glasses on, you can see the extra-dimensional beings who are running the world. Whereas if you look at the boxing scene, those who are, hopeful for a job in boxing media, for a boxing network, for a boxing promoter, maybe they don't see these things, right? Maybe it's that. Who knows? But yeah, the ending to this fight was pretty shitty. It was relatively competitive. I felt Tank started slow. He started to pick it up round 4 onwards. And yeah, I mean, as for Tank's performance, I mean, it was the typical Tank performance. What can I say? Was I particularly impressed? Not really. He showed good speed when he upped the tempo. Good combinations at times. But yeah, I mean, it was the typical Tank fight. What can I say? Anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Delboy. Peace.